Welcome to the Deal Champs podcast. We have another dope guest on today, the king of elevation, Mr. Austin Rutherford. Murdered that one. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm your co-host, Strat Daddy, Mr. Stratton Brown. My history, I played D1 football, tried out for the NFL, thought I was going to get filthy fucking rich. Ended up making zero money whatsoever, but luckily I started reading a bunch of books. Eventually met a real estate investor, ended up working for him. Now we have a 7-figure real estate portfolio, another 7-figure company, and we actively show people how to do their first deals. We have the master of hair who didn't do his hair today, Mr. Jason Pritchard.
What's up, everybody? It's Jason Pritchard. Thanks for joining the podcast. A little background on me. I've been in corporate America for about 16 years. I went full-time in real estate in 2014. Since then, we flipped and wholesaled hundreds of properties. We own a rental portfolio, just over 100 units here in Central California. And my goal and our goal here on this show is to just try to transfer as many of the things that we've learned to all you guys listening in the audience. Austin is an absolute killer in our space. He's doing some amazing things, both on social media and the real estate side. So we're really, really fortunate to have him on the show. And I'm excited to hear what he has to say, man. So looking forward to this one.
And then Captain America, Mr. Dean Rogers.
What's up, guys? So another co-host here. Glad to be here again for another episode 19. We're going strong. My backstory is I transitioned from the NFL to then corporate to then real estate. Been investing in real estate for a decade now in Central California. We're getting close to 600 deals now, so we're getting pretty close. And rental portfolio is right around $10 million. And been coaching students how to get started in real estate and build a successful business. So you guys can always connect with me at deanrogers.com.
Very sexy lineup. Whoever left that comment. Yes, it is a very sexy lineup.
Yeah.
And then we have the Mr. Elevate, my man, Austin Rutherford. Austin, give yourself a quick intro, my man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on here. Appreciate the opportunity. Super quick backstory. My original dream was to go to the NBA. Thought I was a baller. Didn't make it. Fell out of love with the game. Ended up falling in love with real estate about 7 or 8 years ago. 8 or 9 years ago. So ended up buying my first rental property when I was 20 years old. Love passive residual income. Then got hooked on flipping, flipped a few hundred houses. And today own an almost $20 million rental portfolio and have done basically all of it using other people's money.
Hell yeah. And guys, today, our whole mission on the Deal Champs podcast, we want to inspire and empower our listeners by highlighting real life deals and real people from across the country like Austin. We're going to do some interviews from some of the, Austin is not just a real estate investor either. He's an amazing entrepreneur. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast app, go give us a 5-star review. If you are on YouTube, go hit that like and subscribe button, especially on Austin's page down there. What else do we have for you, man? And I want to do a quick intro for Austin. Austin is probably the most humble person I know for being such a killer. I talk to him. I swear to God, I talk to you like twice a week about some bullshit. And bro, you would never know how much you are killing it based off the conversations you are, how humble you are with everything. So kudos to you, bro. You've been absolutely amazing to actually get to know you over these last couple of years.
That's love, bro. Likewise. I appreciate that, man.
Hell yeah. And then Dino, where can people submit their deals for us to review their deals as they come in on different podcasts?
Yeah. So if you guys want to get your deals highlighted on the Deal Champs podcast, we'd love to have you on. You guys can go to deanrogers.com/podcast. Takes you right to a Google form, fill out your information, and we'd love to have you on and highlight you.
And then follow me on Instagram. Austin, where do they follow you on Instagram?
At Austin Rutherford Official.
Me, at Strat Daddy, 2 T's, 2 Y's, at Jason Pritchard, and at Dean Rogers Real Estate. And then if you are following us and you want to for us to see your name on StreamYard, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook so we can see your pretty faces.
I like it.
All right, man. Am I missing anything, Dino? Am I missing any other intros? You're the one who's like on top of it.
These we got announcements and all that kind of fun stuff. We're on the Deal Champs tour, so we're going around speaking at other people's events, just preaching collaboration, man. I mean, just the law of attraction, having the abundance mindset, and we're all on fire about that concept. We know Austin is clearly on that same mindset too, spreading the good word. So For anyone that might be listening to this that has an event, we'd love to come spread that message, highlight you as the authority at your event, and get people excited about doing deals together, collaborating. There's deals for everybody. There's enough deals for everyone. So other announcements, I can't think of any. I'm just excited to have Austin here and pick his brain, man.
All right. We'll cover some quick comments. People who don't like this show don't like American greatness. What a fucking comment.
Let's go. Who was that?
Let's go.
What a great comment.
Show us your name, bro.
I'm going to look. I'm going to look for who it was.
And then hashtag collaborate. But Austin, bro, let's start to hear some of your backstory. I don't want it to be too podcasty to where everybody's heard that story. I'm sure we all have a billion questions we want to ask you. So give us a quick recap of what your growth has been like over the last – like 5 years ago is like when you really started to hit your stride, right?
Yeah. I mean, so the people always look at real estate and they're like, I want to get rich quick, right? My first deal took me 16 months. So I hired a coach and
it was a fatty though. It was a fatty.
Yeah, it was a big first deal.
I've seen your story.
But yeah, I mean, like I hired a coach and I was all in on real estate. I was valeting 50, 60 hours a week, going to college, taking 15 credit hours and trying to do real estate. It took me 16 months to do that first deal. Luckily, on the 16th month, almost to the day, it was 4 days after my 22nd birthday. I sold it and made $107,000 net profit. And from there, just kind of got hooked on flipping. So did like one deal, I guess, in the first year and a half, and then like 7, then like 20. And then at the peak, we, did almost 100 deals in a year. But, 5 years ago, that really what kind of helped me scale was hiring people. I was the one-man show, doing everything all day, every day. So when you're able to bring in a team, hire assistants, project managers, acquisitions, that's when you can really start scaling. And then 2 or 3 years ago, the other pivot that I went through, instead of chasing money, flipping a wholesale and houses for the rest of your life, it's actually building wealth. So our real estate business went from like 80% flips and 20% rentals to 80% rentals and 20% flips. Again, to build the generational wealth and to have the income coming in, now and for forever to come.
So you said,
dude, I think it's really impressive.
With the game.
Say it one more time.
We both asked the question at the same time. I said you said you fell out of the love of the game with basketball. You're not ball isn't for life, or what?
I mean, it was literally the dream. Like I was even in high school, like I worked out like 3 times a day. I rode my bike to the gym, the YMCA, like 4:30 in the morning. Rode my bike to the gym after school. So like I was all in. I remember there was one time my dad, I was doing box jumps. He's like, yo, you got to take a break. Like you're going to mess up your knees. I was like, I don't need my knees if I don't make it to the league. And,
oh yeah.
Come to find out, I went to prep school in Arizona a year after high school, graduated in Ohio, went to Phoenix. And, I led in points, rebounds, assists, had a couple of D2 offers, but I hated touching the rock. So I was like a really dark place because like that was my life. Luckily fell into a book called Think and Grow Rich that turned me on to real estate, and then the rest was history after that.
So you found that book while you were there?
Yeah, I wish I know who gave it to me, but I can't remember. But yeah, that's
pretty crazy to just like fall into that book at that time in your life, because you were still pretty damn young. And that's a mind shift. I know a lot of athletes. That's why I asked the question. I love talking to other athletes and like picking their brain, because a lot of them struggle finding what their other passion is.
Yep.
So it's pretty crazy that you were able to find that at your time in your life, based on what you just shared about being kind of in a dark place, and to transition that dedication, that hard work, that consistency that you were putting into the game that you love now into something else. And clearly, obviously that transferred, right? And you already said, like, you didn't get rich overnight. It was a process, but so did results in sports, I'm sure too. Like it took time of you putting that in.
For sure. 100%. I don't know who gave it to me, but it just opened up the mind to like the possibilities. And then I was staying in like a dorm and I was sitting on my roof one day, just journaling, which again, got that from Think and Grow Rich. And I was just looking, and there was like a 6 or a 9 unit apartment building. And I was like, somebody's making money. Like if one person's getting paid by 6 or 9 people, like this has to work. And that was kind of the start. And then, ordered, a few $100s of like different like packets that got mailed to the crib. Just started learning everything I could, then moved back to Ohio. And, it took the place of basketball for sure, the obsession with it.
What was that initial transition like, Austin? Like going from sports, all in on sports, your whole life revolves around basketball, it sounds like, right? And then to make that jump at such an early age, because it sounds like you didn't get the outcome that you wanted, like, right, closing the deal, money in the bank for a couple years. So there was a couple years of just grinding, right? Like you were just put your head down working. I think so many people on our audience, a lot of them skew towards the newer side, and they don't realize, they look at the outcome that Austin's having now. Like if you go on Austin's social media right now, dude, it's you know what I mean? Like you're living the celebrity life, right? What was that first 2 years like for you, dude? Just kind of transitioning away from basketball and putting the work in.
Yeah, no, it was a struggle. I loved like money, ever since I was a kid. So I like, cut grass, shovel driveways, made Buckeye necklaces, flip candy. They thought I was slinging dope out of high school, but I was slinging candy out of Sam's Club. So like I was always hustling. So once I got kind of put onto that, I went back to that. So I got a ballet job in Phoenix. And then after the season, I moved back to Ohio, kept balleting. I originally got into the game because I wanted the idea of passive residual income. I was like, if you can make money every month without working, like that sounds great. So at the time I had like $35,000 saved from, doing those hustles as a teenager. So I ended up buying a duplex on Ohio State University's campus when I was 20. And that was great. I was ecstatic, I bought a house at 20 years old, but then I was broke and I was like, oh shit, like I got to make more money faster. And my realtor made like $8,000 in commissions on the deal. So I was like, let me get my real estate license. Got licensed, hated it. And then heard one of those radio ads. It was like, if you want to learn how to flip houses, come to this seminar. And went to the seminar, joined the coaching program. And then from that day was that 16-month journey, literally working 16, 18, 20-hour days for 16 months straight without making a penny.
Wow. What do you think it was of that 16-month journey that didn't get you results? Because I'm only guessing you were putting in the work. You just said you were. Was it just something wasn't connecting? Was it that you were doing the wrong thing? Or that's just what your journey was and it was what it was?
Yeah, I think it's two things. One, my marketing budget was like extremely, extremely minimal. It was like driving for dollars and cold calling. Like that was it. So there wasn't any like mass marketing. So the leads wasn't that many. But the other big thing is I learned the game of flipping. When I got into real estate, how I was taught was flipping houses using other people's money. There wasn't rental properties. There wasn't wholesaling. There wasn't any of that stuff. It was buying a house for me to flip. So every deal that I looked at, like I was looking to flip it, right? And at the beginning, I was probably a little bit more on the conservative side, so maybe passed on a couple of deals. But the deals that we'll wholesale all day, a few years ago to landlord buyers, I didn't even look at those because I didn't even understand what that was. I was like, well, this isn't a flip. Like on to the next. So I'm sure I passed on some deals along the way. So lack of education, would be another side to that.
What was it? So I know you said you guys were like really flip heavy for a while. So you got some momentum, started doing a bunch of flips. My business was kind of like that too. The first 2-3 years, it was all flipping, just trying to understand the game. And I see a lot of investors, once they get some success, whether it's wholesaling or flipping, the transactional side of the business, they can never break away and reinvest some of that capital into the rental side. So how did you shift from saying, okay, we're making all this money flipping and wholesaling, just doing that, to saying, all right, well, now we need to really grow the rental portfolio? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, two things again, right? You see this lifestyle on social media, people crushing it. They got the nice cars in the house, and like you want to keep up with that lifestyle. And for me, like that's what I did. We did 100,000 a month, then 200,000 in a month, and then 300,000 in a month. And you can literally chase that number. It's endless. Like you can do 400, 500, a million, 5 million in a month. Like it will never stop. So that's what I was hooked on for years. And I ended up having a call with one of my buddies, and we were just talking. We talked all the time. When I got started, I flipped everything. He kept everything as rentals. We kind of started at the same time. And he was like, yeah, man, I just closed a refi. I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, tell me about the deal. And I forget the exact numbers, but he owned a couple hundred units at the time. And he was like, I just refied like 30 single family houses and I paid off 10 of them. I re-leveraged the other 20. So I have 10 paid off free and clear, debt on the other 20 that still cash flows, and I pulled out $1 million tax free on top of that. I was like, come again? Run that back. And he broke it down to me. I was like, we got to get on the call. He ran everything down to me. I was like, literally the next day I went to my team and I was like, we're done. Like everything's a rental property. So we still had to flip a couple to keep the money coming in. But I stopped chasing that number. And basically what I did is I figured out what my monthly net was. So, you got to pay yourself, right? I got to live. So my salary, the team salary, the marketing budget, the commissions, et cetera, figured out what that number was, call it $40,000 a month, add another 10, 15, 20,000 in profit on top of that. So the first 60K in the door, I flipped and I wholesaled. Everything after that, I kept as a rental property. And that's kind of how I got through the beginning phases, because you do need the money to still float the business. And then since then, I've started other businesses. I have other income. So basically we're keeping everything we can as a rental because we have other sources of income now.
Do you find yourself coming across deals where you're just like, nah, I don't want to touch it. Like, let's wholesale this one, or even let's flip it because it just doesn't pencil for a rental. Do you still take those deals on, or do you just find yourself it's not worth your time and you'd rather do something else?
Yeah, no, we'll still take them on today. We got, I think, 2 flips going right now because they don't cash flow. If they cash flow and if we can burr into them with little money, we're willing to put a little bit into it. We're keeping it 100% of the time. But these are, prices $300,000, rents like $2,000. It doesn't make sense. So we're like, yeah, we'll flip that, make $30,000, $40,000 and keep it pushing from there.
I got a question to go back. That first 105 or 107?
107.
107. So, I mean, that's a big first deal number. You spent a long time waiting to get there, but what did that do for you in terms of like your mindset shift? You'd already bought the duplex. It seemed like you were already bought in, like you joined education, like you were putting in the reps, but like, what did that do for you in terms of like what you could now do? And like, did you feel different after doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first deal I did was a $74,000 purchase and $170,000 rehab. So it was a $250,000 deal, and $170,000 on the construction is like a big rehab.
That's massive.
Bro, that's huge.
In Ohio, especially, right? It was in Ohio.
Yeah, it was 600 square foot addition, 20,000 in the foundation, gutted it literally to the studs, roof, window, siding, electric, plumbing, like everything. And
were you freaking out during like the whole project because you're doing something super intense?
Basically, I went there every single day because I wanted to learn everything. But on the front end, I was able to raise $250,000 of private money to fund the entire deal. At 21 years old is when I bought that with no experience. So raised $250,000 to fund the deal. From buying to selling was 6 months, almost to the day. So it took me 10 months to, find that first deal, and then another 6 months to buy it, renovate it, and then sell it. And I mean, my contractor walked off the job. Like I slept in the house the last night on the twin, the love seat from the staging. I was the one putting the doorknobs on, caulking the trim, all that stuff. Walked out the door at like noonish, posted, I was licensed at the time, listed it at like 1-ish, had massive offers, within a couple hours, listed it at 350, sold it at 375, nice. and netted profit $107,000 net, like after paying everybody. And I did 2 things. One, it's proof of concept. Because like the thing with real estate, a lot of people ask like, hey, does it work? Like, is this possible? Real estate works. It's a fact. There's tons of people doing tons of real estate deals. The only question is when is real estate going to work? So it was like, all right, cool. Like this is real, right? But on the flip side to that, you wait 16 months, you do a deal, you make $100,000 4 days after your 22nd birthday. I cashed the check. And I went back to valeting cars, working 50 to 60 hours a week. I went back to college, taking 15 credit hours. I didn't buy a pair of sneakers. I didn't go to dinner. I didn't go on a trip. I paid off my debt, and I went back all into the business. And then 3 months later, I flipped another house, made about $40,000. So I was like $150,000 in profit. And then I quit my job. And then I went to my mom. I grew up, hey, go to college, get a degree, get a good job. So that's what I was doing. So made $150,000. Parents supported me the whole way. They saw the whole process. And I went to them. I was like, hey, Ma, like, you ain't never going to see me walk across that stage. And she just laughed. I understand. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely proof of concept. But I think where a lot of people make a mistake on as well, they spend that money as soon as they make it, and then they're stuck in the same hole that they started with. So 100,000 ain't changing anybody's life long term. It'll change your life today. It's not going to do anything for you over the long term, though.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, are you getting bombarded with money all the time now? I haven't even asked you this. Like, I know your DMs are insane. How much of that is actual like money people?
Like private money?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people hit me up all the time. A lot of people hit me up, wanting equity, in deals and stuff. And at this point, like, I've never given equity. I rarely ever paid points. Rarely. Only one time in my life have I ever paid monthly interest payments. Everything else is paid off on the back end. So, if they want to fit the terms that we're in, like 100%, we're always looking for money. So, I get hit up often, but not a ton of them turn into the terms that we want. But it's funny, like we got to, Rolodex and private money, and then we'll get a bunch of deals. We'll spend all of it. And then I'll have another deal. I'm like, crap, I got to go actually raise money now. And, I just kind of like burn through my phone. I save everybody as PML when I talk to them, private money lender.
That's what I do too.
Yeah, so whenever I need that, I just type in PML and start getting on the phones.
Was it hard for you at the beginning to like find the confidence to go out and ask for that 250 that you needed? Because I think a lot of people, especially when they're starting, they think the money is the big like missing puzzle piece, right? And they don't realize usually it's the deal that they need. But even for you, I mean, you're young, you're in your early 20s, and your rehab number is significantly higher than usually it's the other way around, right? Usually, they're collateralized against the property, but you're dumping 150 or 60 grand into it. So how did that process work for you? Was it somebody that you knew? Was it just like calling just random people? How did you do all that and put that together?
Yeah. So I'll kind of tell you that story, and then the mindset shift going forward that people have to go through to make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, when I was getting money for that first deal, I didn't have the money. And so I started calling people, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, hey, this sounds too good to be true. So I was just sitting there. I was like, who do I call? And there was a lady that I met a year prior at just a real estate networking event. And we just started talking. She actually joined the same coaching program that I joined. So we kind of connected through there, was talking that one time. And it was just like small talk, like, hey, how you doing? She's like, hey, I just retired. I got the self-directed IRA. I'm going to, use it to do my own deals. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm young, trying to get started, trying to find some deals. And a year later, got that deal and it clicked. And I called her back. I was like, hey, like, how's real estate? She's like, hey, it's tough. Still trying to find that first deal. Everybody wants to be in real estate, but they don't understand the actual business side of real estate. So she said that, and I was like, well, and then she asked me like, how am I doing? I was like, well, actually, I got a great opportunity. Wanted to see if you wanted to get involved in real estate with me. And she decided to do it. It was a 12% and 2 points. She did escrow the rehab funds to, help secure her position a little bit more. So luckily I was able to find a GC that would front the rehab and then get drawn out, as it went. So that's obviously, multiple moving pieces to make that happen. So, that's how the first deal kind of came together. But going forward from there, I love talking about money now because like I genuinely wholeheartedly believe I'm giving somebody an opportunity of a lifetime to invest with me for two reasons. One, you're not asking for anything. You're giving people an opportunity. Where else can they get, 8, 10, 12% secured by a first lien position at 70 cents on the dollar, and it's insured? Like it doesn't exist, right? And then the second thing, when you really understand the power of what I'm about to say, like I have to talk to everybody about money. Because think about this, like, people, we just went through a 30% stock market crash, about a year ago or whatever it was. So people that were retiring this year, they had $1 million in savings. They were going to retire and went down to 700 grand. They have to work another 7 years at 7% on average to get back to $1 million. So 7 years of I got goosebumps just talking about this. 7 years of their life, they lost like that. So my dad, he ended up rolling all of his money to lend money through self-directed IRAs as well, kind of as I progressed through real estate, and he saw it. And he was talking to one of his financial advisors. And before the crash, he said, hey, I have X amount of dollars in the account that I'm lending with because he has some money with him still. He's like, okay, cool. And then after the crash, he was talking with the financial advisor. Financial advisor's like, man, like, and they get happy. They're like, hey, you're only down 20, but the market's down 25. Like, we're still down 20. And he was like, how's your other stuff doing? Like, did you take a hit over there? Because like everything's messed up. He's like, actually, no, I'm up 10, 20%. And the guy was like flabbergasted. But like that's the power of, I've gotten the calls from private money lenders, crying, thanking me, allowing them to retire early. So when you truly genuinely believe, and there's a whole, other slew of reasons we can talk about this, but you have to know that you are giving somebody an opportunity and you're not asking them for anything.
Fire. Bro, why don't you start a fund?
I get asked this question all the time. Because when you raise money as a fund, you have to pay the interest no matter what.
And you just don't want to pay the debt every month.
And that's always what's scared me. You raised, 5 million or 10 million, whatever, at 8%, and you only place, 20, 30, 40% of that. You're losing money that month. So it's like always having like, I have to place this money has always been the hesitation with that.
Bro, yeah, so how did you get used to asking real estate investors for money? Like when we were down in Florida and you just pull out your phone like, hey, bro, I got this deal. It's going to close in 3 days. Are you down or not?
Are you down?
That was like essentially like the conversation. And I just like looked at him and was like, bro, seriously? He's like, yeah, man, like, we got to get this deal closed.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, knowing like you have and don't get me wrong, like it's a mutual beneficial relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're both winning with this. But like I believe that I have the keys. Like I know that I have it. So giving people an opportunity to invest with you. But like that call wasn't the first time I've ever talked to that person either.
How was that first call though? Like what did that first call look like? Yeah.
So I've never straight like cold call somebody like cold for private money. So actually there's a couple that came from social media. But outside of that, I've always met them in person at some point. And the conversation, is not about money. I'll give you an example. I was in Europe for my honeymoon, going on a train somewhere, and there's 2 seats and then 2 seats, and it was me and my wife, and then there's an older couple sitting across. So we just started talking, small talk, like, hey, where are you going? What are you here for? Just small talk. Got into business. I was like, what do you do? They're like, well, it's like a manufacturing company or something. Well, it's this manufacturing company, it's, and then we were talking about like we're gone for 26 days. And they're like, you're gone for 26 days? How are you? And I told them I'm an entrepreneur, do real estate. How are you able to do that? I'm like, I mean, we just invest in real estate. Like, that's what it is. And they're like, well, actually, like our best investment ever was a building that we bought and we sold it. But when we sold it, like, it was when the market was crashing, we didn't really know what to do. So we put it in CDs. I was like, oh, nice. What are you earning on the CDs? They're like 2% or 3% or something. I was like, yeah, that's what a lot of people end up doing. They go this safe route and they don't even grow their money. How I've been able to build my business is by using private money lenders, giving them an opportunity to invest with me, secured by a first mortgage, et cetera, et cetera. And I've had a follow-up call with them, and I think they're going to end up lending money on the deal. So like very fluent, normal conversation, but you hear an opportunity where you can help someone. And then that's when you talk about it. If you walk up to somebody, you're like, hey, lend me money, you're never going to get it. It's got to be through a fluent conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
That's crazy. While you were in Europe on a train, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, but that just goes back to, like you said, like you said, you just had a normal conversation. And if you work it into what you share about yourself and say, oh, I'm a real estate investor and, I give investors double-digit returns, secured against the property. And I use other people's money to flip houses. And that opens up their curiosity. And if that's something that might help them, they're going to ask you more about it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, here, everybody, watching can write this one-liner down, but, inevitably when you're talking to somebody, at some point they ask you what you do or you ask them what they do, and it comes to you eventually. So it's like, hey, Austin, what do you do? If you say like, hey, I'm in corporate, or hey, I wholesale houses, or hey, I flip houses, a lot of people don't even know what that means. So even if you're not doing this yet, what you can still say is, hey, I teach other people how to invest their money into real estate and potentially earn double-digit returns. And then if they're interested in any way, shape, or form, they're going to be like, how do you do that? How does that work? Tell me more. And now your foot's in the door. So like that, anytime people ask me when I'm trying to raise money, what do I do? That's my answer for that.
I love it, bro. All right. I
got some more questions for you. So what's Austin's favorite area for rentals?
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. So my entire portfolio is in Columbus, Ohio. It's kind of a blessing to be there. It's a massively growing city. All the tech companies are going there. Google, Facebook, Amazon, Intel put 20 billion and soon to be 100 billion in there. So it's a great market. The price point still makes sense. And it's just what I knew from the beginning. So I think it was a little bit of luck, being born there.
I got to imagine you got to have some equity in your stuff too, right? Because I think the knock on the Midwest always is like, man, cash flow is great, but you're never going to appreciate, right?
Yeah.
And I know you guys have seen some crazy growth out there, right? So you've gotten both since you've been buying, because you've been holding your stuff for a little while, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the second rental property I bought, we think we bought it for 26 and put like 10 grand into it. It's probably worth a little bit over 200 grand today.
Dang.
Again, that's not every deal, but it's the appreciation has been awesome there.
26. That's like payroll for the month now,
Do you do any Airbnbs, bro?
Oh, geez. So I had 7. I had an incident at one of them that I was not involved with. It was people doing something, and the city took my license.
That sounds scandalous.
It was not. It was somebody got shot. So it was bad, and the city took all my licenses on that 6-unit building. So I had one left, and we actually just listed it last week. Because like one of the big things with Airbnb that I always say is like, I'll never buy an Airbnb that only makes sense as a Airbnb. Right. Yep. So the 6-unit, they pulled the licenses, turned them back into long term. Everything was good. This property, it only makes sense as an Airbnb. But I burred into it. So I have 25% equity. So if you want to only do an Airbnb that makes sense as an Airbnb, make sure you have equity in it, because if things go south, you can still liquidate it. So I just don't want to deal with it. So we're actually in the process of liquidating it now. They can be profitable, but I just didn't want to continue to manage that whole process.
Dean, Noah Hoffman had someone get shot out in front of one of his Airbnbs in Tower like 2 years ago.
At least it wasn't.
No way.
Bro, like he sent me the camera footage of a dude, standoff. A dude getting just shot.
Camera footage from the ring. Oh my god.
God damn, son. But he does Airbnbs in wild areas, bro. He'll do an Airbnb in a war zone. He doesn't care.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, he's crazy. Would you? So I'm similar. Like I want to buy my rentals local. I want to buy where I know, do deals where I know. Would you ever buy something somewhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a single family house, because like there's just not enough juice in it. But if it was a multifamily, 20, 30, units plus, absolutely, 100%. But as I've grown, one of the other big things that I've realized, like I was the guy that wanted 100% of my grape. Now I just want 5, 10, 20, 50, 80% of a watermelon, right? So it'd have to be a scenario where like somebody brought the opportunity to the table, and I raised the money, brought the experience, signed on the debt, whatever it is, and then we partnered on something, and they were the boots on the ground in that area. So I would absolutely do it, but somebody has to be local and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
How much money you spend on education a year?
$50,000 to $100,000 between different masterminds. 2 days, 1 days. I made a post today, like surrounding yourself with people that are in a position that you eventually want to be in. I mean, that's the only reason I'm sitting here today with what I've been able to do.
Do you stay in the same masterminds, or are you like always jumping around trying to get in different circles?
I've been in one for like 5 or 6 years now. And then I've always, gone in some others here and there as well.
Bro, what's been your hardest moment so far? Like legitimately, whole thing, what's been the hardest moment? Then like, how did you actually get through it? Because nobody ever talks about like the hard parts of just crazy. I mean, entrepreneurship's crazy. Real estate's crazy enough as it is.
Yeah. I mean, like there's always like, a bad deal where we lose money, that Airbnb situation where, we probably lost almost 100 grand between the furniture and the cash flow and the headaches. So like all that stuff, comes with business. It's definitely not fun, but it's part of the game. I'm trying to think like the hardest. I would probably go back to the beginning, like losing the dream of basketball and trying to figure out what to do. Like I was in a dark place, like lots of tears. I had zero clue what to do with my life, and kind of falling into the Think and Grow Rich, and then real estate, and then that 16-month process of keeping the faith and knowing that something good is going to come out of it. That was probably the toughest part for sure. I mean, I lost a lot of friends, like. I remember there was a conversation with one of the friend groups, like what you say you're working, but you're broke. Like, what have you been working on for the last 10? Like, just wait. So yeah,
that's hard, right? Because it's one of those businesses where you're not clocking in, clocking out, getting paid for each hour that you work.
Yep.
Like you could work a lot of time and you're building that sweat equity and it's not going to show for a while, Not to mention the fact that sweat equity you're putting in could turn into a loss, like that's even more insult to injury. So it's one of those things where it is an investment. It's an investment in yourself and your time for a bigger payoff and a better future,
Agreed. I mean, I think what everybody has on here has to hear though is like, we've all done real estate. Everybody on this call, like doing it at a high level, right? So real estate is not an if game. It's a win game. Right?
Yeah.
If you do real estate and put in the work, it will work. It's just a win question.
Yeah, that's important. I think a lot of people will say it a bunch of times is they want that overnight success. And, there's a couple different factors. It's the information and knowledge you have. It's a little bit of luck. It's the timing of the market. There's a couple different factors that are going to play into how successful you are in a certain period of time, but undeniably you will find success if you do a couple key things consistently enough. That's it.
100%.
I mean, I'd like to pretend that I'm super smart, but I'm just a hard worker, like I'll do some smart stuff here and there that I'll pat myself on the back, but most of it's not me being a genius. It's just simply working harder than everyone else,
And it goes back to what Strat said earlier. I'm right there with you 100%. Strat said, like, how much money, do you invest in education? I'm not the smartest. I copy and paste. It's really that simple. Find what's working, learn it, and then go do it. It's not rocket science to be like, if Elon trying to land on Mars, like a whole different animal,
right?
Trying to do real estate, copy, paste.
We had another question in here. We had are you guys hiring? That leads me to want to ask you if you've scaled your team back from when you were doing a lot of deals, or if your team's still the same size, just maybe doing different stuff, or like what does your team look like? And are you hiring?
Yeah, yes, I am. If you are great in sales or ops or social media, definitely message me on Instagram. But yeah, I mean, the team's definitely changed. At the beginning, we had, massive wholesale operation, TCs, project managers, junior acts, acquisitions, cold callers, big old office. Like we had the whole thing. And over the years, it's transitioned into other things and other opportunities. We're still buying real estate a ton. I have great relationships with people. We get fed deals all the time. My other businesses, we've pivoted people to those things. So the team's definitely bigger, but it definitely looks different than what it did years ago.
Yeah, you had an evolution. We had another question about that first deal. What percentage of ARV did you buy the property at? I did the math while we were sitting here. You sold it for 375. You bought it for 75. It was 20% of ARV. That's pretty crazy. If you do your all-in costs with the rehab, it's still a fat number. It's still at 60% of the ARV. So that's a fatty right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We did a 600 square foot addition. Like, I think that's the variable in there. We blew out the first and the second floor, put in a master bedroom, a bigger kitchen, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think I've ever done an addition since then.
That's wild too, bro. An addition for your first deal.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So. Yeah, it was I think that's what helped the value. So, again, some of it's luck. I think I planned on selling it at like $325 or something. So, you know, you get an extra 50 racks on it. Like, it definitely helps.
One question I have for you, Austin, is it's been so impressive, dude, to see your trajectory on social. And I feel like you're one of like the early adopters with a handful of other people that kind of are in our space that got social early. You hammered it. You're very consistent. You're very authentic too, dude. Like the way that you are, that's exactly how you are on social. So all that stuff is very admirable for me. For sure. All of us, I think, are like trying to actively grow our things, right? So what was it about social that made you really start going hard on it, however long ago it was, 5-6 years ago, right? And how has that changed your business? And then what is like kind of the goal with you for social media now?
Yeah, I mean, it's drastically changed my business. I mean, I've made many millions from different aspects of social media, whether that's buying deals, whether that's affiliate offers, whether that's other businesses that I'm in. I mean, any business anybody is in can massively grow with social media, right? Everyone asks me, like, you know, what's the end goal with it? I don't have that answer yet, but I know social media will bring it. You know, if there's an extra 1, 3, 5, 10 million people that know who I am, somebody's bringing an opportunity to me, right? So that's kind of like the end goal. But, you know, as far as getting there on Instagram, I mean, there was many years, 2, 3, maybe 4 years of posting on Instagram without ever selling anything. It was just value. And then, you know, I ended up like getting a deal off of it. And I was like, oh, like this works. And then doubled and tripled down on it. And then like TikTok is what also really blew me up, you know, over the more recent years. So, you know, catching trends early and literally going all in on it. Like I remember a time during TikTok when it was like new, I was going live 5 times a day and posting 4 times a day.
Damn.
Like I was all in. So, you know, going all in and catching the right trend. But also like there's people always like, they don't have a video that goes viral. You can't control the virality of something. You know, I've thought and created like the greatest piece of content and it was absolutely horrible. And then my best video ever, I was at a mastermind group and we were just sitting by the pool, you know, drinking beers. And I was like, yo, let's talk about how many units we own. And it was like, hey, I own X. He owns like, you know, X.
I remember that one. Yep.
I've seen that one too. It's like Brats and Summers in there and everybody's, yeah.
So that honestly, that's really the one that kind of put me on the map, like on social entirely. You know, I got 250,000 followers on TikTok in 48 hours.
Wow.
So, I mean, that it got viewed on my TikTok, I think over 10 million times, on my Instagram, millions of times, and got shared tens of thousands of times. I got reposted on Millionaire Mentor, Entrepreneur, like every channel you can think of. It went crazy. Like it probably had 30, 40 million views. And that's where a lot of my following came from. So, you know, you can't control, you know, virality, but staying consistently consistent, you know, sooner or later, one of them is going to pop.
You don't give yourself enough credit though, bro. I think you're a really good marketer.
I appreciate that.
I mean, because like whenever I've had to sit there and like talk to you about like different hooks of shit, like, bro, you're really good at getting the hooks of getting shit. And like we even over the last little while, I've like seen you let's say adding in props to the shit too, right? To where,
yeah. So props is something that was learned, but I guess one thing, you know, for people that want to create content, short form is amazing, long form is amazing as well, but short form, literally, you have that fast. You know, some people, you know, say that they're, you know, trying to crush it, but they breathe, literally, like, and then talk. You're done. Like you have that much time. So you have to hook it immediately. And it's got to be a hook. You got to find, you know, a creative way. Like we posted a video, I think today, and it was about why I buy in Columbus, Ohio. And my content guy sent me like a sentence. It was like, you know, why I bought houses in Columbus, Ohio, or something like that. I was like, that is the video, but like that doesn't hook. And I was like, hundreds of deals later, why Columbus, Ohio? Like hundreds of deals? Like, yeah, let me see that. So it's like just finding a way to hook them in immediately. Like that helps the virality massively.
So is that something you've studied and you're constantly working on? Are you like in a mastermind learning these skills? Are you just kind of developing these skills naturally as you're evolving and like getting more of those business experiences so you know kind of what it is, or what's helped you in social?
Yeah, I think it's just been a lot of trial and error. Seeing what works and doing it again. I spend a lot of time watching other creators too. Some of the best content I think of is watching other people and then putting my own spin on it. So watching what they do, how they hook, how they, write things, what tags they use. My social media is a business. At the beginning, I was just posting just to post, but like when I realized you can make money on it, we track KPIs, we have team members, like we have all that stuff now. So like it's treated as a business, just like you would do in, direct marketing or cold calling or SMS. Like what's the ROI on it? So definitely trial and error. And just over time, kind of figuring it out.
Did you ever get detracted like through the journey, especially at the beginning? Because you at your space, you're getting positive and negative feedback, I have to imagine, right? So you get people in there that are either doubting. I know you guys got a lot of heat on that video when you had the guys going around, right? So how do you process through that, bro, and just like keep your head down and work? Because a lot of people don't know how to deal with all the negative feedback that comes along with being just out there like that.
Yeah. So when I started, I had a decent brand on Instagram. I started posting on TikTok, posted like a couple. And if you go all the way, like literally back to the beginning, you'll see it. But it was posted a couple and I was like, nah, like F this TikTok, I'm not doing it. It's a bunch of like kids dancing, right? That was the narrative. And my buddy, he's the one that put me on originally. He's like, yo, you got to get on TikTok. Like my business is blown up. So I posted and I was like, screw that. And then like a month or two later, he's like, yo, you really got to do this. Like, my business 5X. I was like, all right, let's do this. And made a post and it was like how I became a millionaire. And it was like a tap thing and you write words and then you like this and you write some more words and then you hit it. And then it's like the punchline. And it was like something along the lines of like, bought a house, flipped it, bought this, did that, now I'm a millionaire. And posted it and then left. And put the phone down and then came back and I was like, yo, it's got like 100,000 views. Like we're blowing up. Put it down. I was talking to my boy. I lived with him at the time and went to like 200,000 views. I was like, yo, like this is it. I got excited and I pulled up the comment section. Here's the punchline. And it was like, remember the videos, how I became a millionaire. So I pulled up the comment section and the first one, and it had a ton of likes, by the way. The first one was like, you sold your hairline. I was like, all right. Second one, but you can't buy a hairline. Like, third one, it was like, but you're bald. I was like, man, fuck these people. Like, I quit. And then like, just a moment of like, self-revelation. I sat there and I was like, who are these people, right? Does it really matter? So right then I was like, man, that like you're gonna see me really kill this shit now, and just kind of went all in on it. So then back then, like that was kind of like the turning pivot point.
You were fueled by the haters.
Yeah, facts. And then now I just ignore it. Like it's a lot of people get caught up in it. I say control the controllables. Like people are gonna hate you no matter what you do. But cat lovers are gonna hate dog lovers. Dog lovers are gonna hate cat lovers. Like why not love them, right? So I try to avoid it. And like, I read them because like I respond and y'all see them and I'll just keep it pushing to the next. Sometimes, I'll go back and forth with them.
Like, hey, bitch.
Yeah. Stuff. They're like, hey, you didn't really do this. I'm like, well, you've seen the Rolls Royce in my driveway for years now. Like you can't rent that many days in a row. So I try to avoid it though.
Bro, go ahead, Dino.
I was going to build off the social. The hook is what I hear is the most important, but is the description that important? Are the tags that important? Like, is the music important? How important are all those details?
Yeah, I mean so we'll talk TikTok and YouTube. TikTok, the virality is watch time. Like that's the simple. That's how easy it is. And then YouTube, the click through and the watch time. So once you get them there, how long do they watch it? Like, so watch time is everything, right? So there's a few hacks with that. You can, the hook's like definitely very much towards the top because you got to get people to listen for a second. And then after that, like there's secrets to it. And you can like say, 5 ways I'm going to do X. And then on the video, like, how I became 5 reasons I became a millionaire before 30, right? Oh, cool. He's a millionaire. I want to learn about it. So then you talk 2 reasons. So it's number 1, number 2, and then you say, read the description for 3, 4, and 5. And now they have to sit there and watch the video. Watch time goes as they're sitting there swiping through your description, and the video replays and replays and replays as they're reading. So Instagram or TikTok thinks that the video is amazing, but you're just
taking notes.
So
yeah, that's smart.
So you can't do that on everyone, obviously, but that's a couple of hacks. But the hook is at the top. Description, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, except for the example I just gave you. And then tags definitely help you get into the right areas for sure.
Bro, so do you still not really read books? Because I remember talking to you, bro, I listened to a fuck ton of Tony Robbins. Like, I'm not really reading a lot of books. I listen to a lot of motivational stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've at the beginning, like I got a bookshelf of hundreds of books. I've read them all. So at the beginning, like I read a ton of books, and then got on a ton of like motivational stuff. And now I do a lot of what's the app? Is it Audible? Yeah. So I listen to a lot of books on that, and then watch like a lot of YouTube videos too. Listen to like Gary V, Hormozy, on the content. So yeah, like learning from other people on content creation, like listening to him and how he took the internet by storm. So like he did something. Right. Like I got to learn something. But yeah, no, I read. I definitely back to reading.
And tell everybody why you don't wear Nike.
I don't wear Nike, huh?
No, I'm not opposed to Nike. I'm just representing me. Like my wife, she always gets mad because I wear like Elevate, like tees, hoodies, like everywhere, and she's like, "You don't ever wear anything else." I was like, "Yeah, they're not paying me. Like I wear white tee, Elevate, black, red, and white tee. Like that's my wardrobe. People are scared to like put themselves out there. Like the back, I don't know if there's 2 different versions. This isn't the right one. But like this one says, you can't see it, but it's like, I'm building my empire. I take the road less traveled. I bet on myself. I believe in myself. So like, for somebody to wear that out, a lot of people get nervous by that. Like, oh, I'm arrogant, I'm cocky, whatever. It's like, nah, like that's me. Like I love me. You know what I mean? And then there's another one. It's like faith, family, finances, and fitness. So that's like the 4 F's, standby. How do you elevate all those at the same time? So it's like, it's Elevate is me. Like why rock, somebody else's shit, if I can put myself on.
Was the mindset component for you like always this important? I can just tell by listening to you and picking up on some of the things that you say. It's like you're very intentional about the words that you speak and the thoughts that you're thinking. So did you pick up on that just from Think and Grow Rich, or was it from trial and error? Was it from being around mentors? How did that work for you?
Yeah, so there's this was a good lesson, but at the beginning, like I always like believed in myself, but like it wasn't like how it is now. Was making money, a few $100,000 a year, doing okay. I ended up meeting one of my best friends. His name's Milan, at basketball. I was just walking down the court and I never knew him. I was talking to my buddy and I heard him. He was like, I just wholesaled a house, and he was talking to somebody. And like immediately I turned and introduced myself. I was like, yo, I'm Austin. We got to connect. Like, you're in real estate. Let's talk. And, we chopped it up. We ended up going to lunch just to, talk. Became my best friend since then. And, I don't know why, but, he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. He's like, bro, you're the man. Like, you're crushing it. You're doing this, you're doing that. Like, just keep doing you. Like, he was always the one, like massively supporting me on the back end. And, it finally stuck and it finally clicked. And it was like, yeah, like, I'm not like arrogant. I'm not cocky, but I'm extremely confident, and it can come off differently. But like, I genuinely love me. Right. And I think everybody should do that. So it was not always like that. No, but, luckily I had, a lot of great people around me, that helped instill that confidence in me.
I love it, man. That's what I tell everybody. I think most people think that the real estate is the hard part. And I always say it's like what's going on inside your head, and can you keep your head screwed on straight every day? If you can do that, the real estate, like you said, it's inevitable. The outcome you want's inevitable. It's just most people are in their heads too much and they can't figure out that piece that you're just talking about, man. So that's a big nugget for anybody listening.
1,000% agreed.
I love how you said the 4 F's. I have the 5 F's when we talk as a family. We got faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun. And man, I mean, that's just key. Like if you can have those core foundations in your life, and be focusing intently on each one of them, then your life's just going to get better.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Yeah, I mean, like I see a lot of people like great in one aspect of life. Like they're great in business, or they're great in relationships, or they're great with women, or they're great in their faith, or they're great in whatever it is, right? But it's like, okay, cool. Like you're a one-trick pony. Like what happens when that goes south? It's like, how do you become great in all the aspects? And it takes work. Like all that, everything in life takes work. So, putting in the time to have a great family, putting in the time to be good with your faith, all that stuff matters. So I like the fun aspect though. I like the fifth F.
Mm-hmm.
Was it hard for you guys to move to Florida, bro? I know that you guys had that. I think that's a big thing too, that we're seeing a lot of even friends in our circle, right? They have businesses maybe here and then they've moved to another state, right? So how did that look for you, right? You're crushing it in Columbus. You're the man over there, right? Was it difficult to say, listen, I'm going to uproot, I'm going to go plant new roots over in Florida and we're still going to run everything there? Like, how did that process work?
Yeah, it was definitely scary. My wife and I are like, we love the ocean. So even when I was like a kid, like Florida was like always this like awesome destination type of thing. So it's kind of like always been ingrained in the background. And long story short, like I said, we had a huge operation in Columbus, and some things happened, and basically almost everybody on the team I had to let go, all in a very, very tight window, a couple of weeks. And I was sitting there, another personal thing happened. And I was sitting there and I was like, do I want to like rebuild? And at this point, like I hated going into the office. I hated it. And I was like, do I want to rebuild something like I hate every day? Like I get pissed off and then I go home upset. Like, do I really want to rebuild that? Or like, do I want to move to Florida, which is what we've always wanted to do. Talk to some mentors, some people around me, and they're like, yes, like leave. Because like going back to like Phoenix too, I grew up in Ohio, went to Phoenix to play basketball for a year. That was one of the biggest growth moments of my life because I had to relearn everything. Like I think everybody should move out of their home state at some point because it makes you grow up as a man or a woman, as an individual, because it literally resets everything in your life. So we decided to move to Florida. It was definitely scary. Definitely had a lot of moving pieces to that, but now we got teams still there. We got boots on the ground. Everything's cranking. Social media can be done virtually. Luckily, before moving, we were doing real estate deals virtually, but in Columbus, like we never went there. We just, bought it off of pictures and stuff. So luckily we had, that kind of experience leading up to actually moving and not being able to go there. But yeah, I mean, and it was a financial thing as well. Like moving from my house that I had to the apartment down here, it more than doubled my living expenses. So when I moved, I was like, man, like I'm gonna go broke. Like this is not a good idea. Like I was sweating like when we got to the apartment. But like there's a saying that's like old ceilings become new floors. And like since then, living in that apartment after the first couple of months, never thought about it again. When I moved there to my house here in Florida as well, bought a house down here, more than doubled my living expenses again. And same thing. I was like, should I buy the house? Should I back out? Like, am I buying in a bad market? Blah, 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 blah. First few months, it was rough. Haven't thought about it since. So, I believe things in life happen to force you outside of your comfort zone to grow.
Well, how do you build culture virtually in your companies?
It's tough. I'm still working on that. I'm gonna keep it real.
All right, bro. I mean, I think that's like the hardest aspect, especially. I think all four of us have virtual companies. Like I don't have an office. Jason, you don't. Dino, you don't. I know Austin doesn't.
Yeah. It's important as a leader. You gotta bring the energy, and you gotta create the path for people to be excited about what they're doing. And as the visionary, you got to help execute on that vision and find the right people to help with that, or you're helping with the execution too. So, one of the things I was excited to ask you about was, I think what caught my eye about you when I first heard your name and first started following you on social, what's been engaging for me and made me feel like I've been going along the journey with you is you sharing the evolutions of your business and the different things that you're doing and involved in. And so I'm curious, as the dynamic entrepreneur that you are now, what are you most passionate about? Where do you feel like is the most opportunity, and what do you enjoy doing the most? kind of multi-part question.
Yeah. What do I enjoy doing the most? Connecting. Like I get the most fulfillment, helping somebody, I got a text today is, he did his 66,000 last month, 56,000 this month. He's getting ready to quit his W-2 job, spend more time with his family. And he was actually about to move out of Florida for some other things, but decided to stay and then, start crushing. Like I get fulfillment out of that stuff. So that's what I like to enjoy. That's what I enjoy doing the most. It's also the most draining at times.
True.
And what am I excited about? I mean, everything, life. People ask me, how you feeling? I'm like, just living, loving life. So buy as much real estate as possible. We just bought a 16,000 square foot warehouse building, which is second commercial. First one was office. This one's warehouse. So I'm excited about that. Buying more just regular real estate, building the brand. I say eyeballs is currency. And then, there's another company, ERC, that we've been growing. So I'm excited for it all.
So you got a lot of work.
Yeah. Do you think real estate will be a component of something that you do for, the foreseeable future? Or do you see it as like the vehicle and the launching pad for whatever the next entrepreneurial thing is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying that says what got you to where you are isn't going to get you to where you want to go. So real estate has been great to me. It's put a lot of money in my pocket. A lot of, good deals have turned out to allow me into some of the other businesses. But I do think real estate will always be a part of it. One of the reasons is just tax benefits. Buying real estate, cost saving, doing, taking the depreciation on your tax returns. I'm buying now for this year's taxes to plan ahead. So I think it'll always be something. Do I think I'm only going to be doing, majorly single family for the rest of my life? No. I've been brought into, bigger deals, commercial deals. We're in the middle of trying to put together a 108 unit development project. So, I think it'll look different for sure. Whether it's me bringing the money or me being able to sign on the dotted line or the experience, whatever it is. But it'll definitely be a part of it. I think for a very long time from now.
We got any more questions, guys? I want to be respectful of his time.
I love this stuff.
I got one follow-up question myself. So as you've added in these different layers of your business, have you found yourself as a result working more and harder? Or have you found integrators or just been really good and have a talent for finding talent to help you? Or how have you navigated all that? Because you get really good at something and then you try to go do something new and it's a whole new learning curve. How do you get through that?
No, that's a phenomenal question. There's definitely like seasons, times where, I'll work, 14, 16 hour day. Like it's normal. Like I always got to say, like I'll outwork anybody, I'm built for it, which is fine. But I don't want to live my life like that. I'm 30. I just got married about a month ago. We're talking about having kids. So over the last like 6-ish months, kind of leading into like marriage and thinking about kids in the future, it's very much set in, the time side of things. So being very conscious and moving differently than how I used to set those things up correctly, have the right operators, the right integrators, the right team members, the right sales managers, which, thus far I haven't had, the greatest success in doing. I've had some great people on the team and I've had a lot of not great people on the team. So it's something I've been okay at, leading up to the last like year or so. It's something I'm extremely, extremely conscious of, over the last 6 to 12 months.
Mm-hmm. Cool. We got some questions in here. We got somebody that thinks you should give them $1,000 to start investing. So if you started your nonprofit fund and investor fund, you got your first customer right there. We got some Florida love for you right here. Got another question. As an investor, what type of properties do you look for? Year built, bedrooms, what's kind of your avatar?
I mean, for like the rental properties in Columbus, 3-bed, 1-bath, ranch or Cape Cods on a slab or a basement, those are like, the easy cookie cutter, type of rental properties. So those are like ideal, built in the 40s, 50s, 60s. When I first got into real estate, I didn't do a rehab for under $100,000 for the first few deals for the first few years of my career,
bro.
So I mean, we were cranking them. I remember personally managing 15 projects, all $100,000 plus rehabs. Like in your phone, when you like go through a call log, you can scroll back like 3, 5, 7, 10 days. I couldn't scroll back to yesterday. Like I was just burning the phones. We're going from project to project. I went off on a tangent there. What was the question again?
Bro, that's brutal, dude.
That's wild. Yeah.
Right there, dude.
No, the question was, I'll leave it up. As an investor, what type of properties do you look for? Year build, bedrooms?
Yeah. So I said that at the beginning. I was buying houses that were built in like 1901, full gut rehabs, take them down to the studs.
The hella hard ones?
Yeah, the hardest ones out there. I will not do a deal like that today unless there's ridiculous profit margin. But I did that every day back in the day, but definitely not doing it now. So more like the cookie cutter, easier, type of rehabs, sub $40,000, $50,000 rehabs.
Bro, how did you get so good at managing all those projects? Bro, what was your biggest thing with that? I feel like that is a learning curve in and of itself.
I mean, I knew the code. Like I knew rise over run on the treads on the stairs, the width of the stairs, how far the toilet had to be from the sink had to be from the bathtub. If the bathtub was to the right or the front of the toilet, how far it had to be away from that. I knew everything, not everything, right? I just learned a lot, but a couple notes. I had draw schedules ahead of time for every project. So before people started working on it, I had draw schedules put together. So it was like, $100K, $10,000 when demo and framing was done, $20,000 when MEPs were done, $30,000 when drywall was, or, we had it broken down. So that was easy. Like you show up, you look at the draw schedule, they're there or they're not there, and you write a check, you don't write a check. So I had those. I literally had a backpack I carried everywhere with folders in it of every project with the draw schedules in it. Also had lien releases in my backpack. So, if I wrote a check, they had to sign the lien release on site. We were just doing so many. Like we had guys that just went from project to project to project to project. So we weren't like hunting and searching for a bunch of people. They were just kind of rolling forward from job to job. And like I was literally in the streets every day. Like 6 to 8 in the morning, I was doing paperwork. 8 to 7 during the day, I was running job sites. On calling people like plumber. Where you at? You said you was gonna be here. Get over here. Drop the other job. Move here. We got to get past the permit to get the electricians in here. And then running materials all day Saturday and Sunday. I had a black Jaguar XJL, and I had rakes and shovels and plumbing fixtures and electric fixtures. And I was going. So like I went to the permit, the city building department, multiple times a week. I drew the plans myself, so I had like the whole thing down. Like I drew it, so I learned the codes to draw the plans. So I was in the trenches. So like nowadays, nothing scares me rehab wise because like I've done it.
Yeah, that's good experience to cut your teeth on deals like that. I mean, you're ready for pretty much anything.
For sure. So
man's ready for war. All right, last question.
Some good states and cities investors like.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I
think start in your backyard, man. Yeah, right. I mean, all of us kind of started. I think, you know what I mean? Like, unless there's some market dynamics that are just like not favorable at all, which most people aren't. I think all of us probably started buying our backyard first. I don't know.
Agreed. I was gonna say you can make money in every city and every state. Are there? If you're in Cali, like maybe not start with $1 million cribs, maybe, but you can absolutely be extremely successful with that. So, I mean, there's money to be made in every market. I hate when people are like, I got to go to the next market. I got to expand, for opportunity. I'm like, how many deals are you doing a month? One. You don't got to expand nothing. Like,
you got to expand your marketing budget.
Yeah, until you're doing minimum $100,000 months, like you don't need to expand outside of your city.
I think this guy in high school. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm graduating Friday, trying to become a realtor, wholesaler. What's a good way to find investors and get a job as a realtor?
You don't have to be a licensed realtor to be a real estate investor. You can, absolutely. You don't have to be. And when you say find investors, like buyers, they're everywhere. You know, if get the deal, the deal is going to get sold. The buyers are going to be there. You know, without a question. Make one post on a Facebook group, it's sold. Private money, you know, we talked a little bit about that earlier. So if you're just getting on, you know, watch the beginning of the call. But the deal is the hard part. Find the deal. The money's there. The buyers are there. Everything else will show up.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, congrats for watching this YouTube video on high school, bro.
Agreed.
Right? That's huge.
Yeah.
100%.
That's awesome. All right, bro. Thank you so much for coming on, my man. If no one else has any other questions, where can people find out more about you? I'm sure most people do know. Tell us more about your coaching program.
Yeah, you know, Instagram and TikTok and YouTube at Austin Rutherford. If you want to grab a copy of my book, it's called Get Free Houses. So it's how to build a real estate portfolio without using your own money. Go to howtogetfreehouses.com and, you know, shoot me a message on Instagram.
Bro,
I like that.
URL, right? That's a hell of a URL.
Dude, I use
You have
that
to buy
same.
that one?
I use that same phrase too. Like I just bought a free house. Like I love saying that because it's so true. Like it's an infinite return. You literally got a free house. It's insane.
It's hooky too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, message me on Instagram. You know, we have coaching programs if anyone's interested. You know, love to help anybody out there.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, don't forget to go hit like and subscribe down there. If you're listening to this on the podcast app, do us a favor, go give us a 5-star review, and don't forget to follow us at Strat Daddy, at Jason Pritchard, at Austin Rutherford Official, at Dean Rogers Real Estate. Am I missing anything, Dino? Or are we all tied up? Am I good?
No,
Did I hit
that's
them
it.
all?
Yeah, you hit them all.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Austin, again, bro, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for the
absolutely,
opportunity.
man. Thank you.